There are a number of different revolutionary groups that are emerging over the course of the 1950s, jockeying for power. But by later in that decade, Fidel Castro and his 26th of July movement is effectively the only one left standing. But not the only one that really represents this kind of nationalist humanism that will become the kind of byword of that revolutionary movement when it comes into power. Now, Fidel Castro proclaimed that this was an olive green and not a red revolution. But we have to think here about our changing international, especially hemispheric context. By 1959, the Cold War is very much afoot, and US policymakers have already actualized a certain kind of Cold War interventionism in Guatemala, where they spearhead the toppling of a democratically elected government on suspicions that he had some kind of communist or at least leftist ideas and influences, basically because he'd implemented agrarian reform and other such measures. So it's very much that spirit that will come to predominate in the US dealings with the Cuban Revolution as well. And so the early years of the revolution see a kind of series of escalating political hostilities between the United States and Cuba. This is true in spite of the fact that Fidel Castro continues to proclaim publicly, as often as he can, throughout most of 1959, that he's not interested in establishing a communist government in Cuba, that what he's interested in is nationalism and humanism. This is true in spite of the fact that the first agrarian reform that the revolutionary government implements in May 1959 is fairly moderate in its aims. In spite of all of that, the revolution nonetheless leads to very early and insistent planning within the US government to effectively topple the revolutionary government. And as we've seen, this is already a pretty predominant motif in 20th century Cuban history. And we can say that from 1959 to 1962 or so, the economic and political radicalization of the revolutionary government on one hand, and the US reaction to that radicalization intensify in dialogue with each other, especially as Cuba begins to open up warmer relations with the Soviet Union.